Okay, here we are. This is the flight that almost wasn't. More on that later, I guess. Quarter till 8 a.m., 7:45 a.m. is another way of saying that for the metric folks. Today we're flying out to Darke County, Versailles, which is a flight I've made many, many times. Going out to visit my dad. I'm going to do it a little differently today. This is, I don't know how well that shows up. This is an IFR map. So this is the instrument version of a VFR sectional. No terrain or anything. All you do is follow the lines. We're right here at Bolton. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go direct to Plum, Papa, Lima, Uniform, Mike. And then from there I could do a direct to Rosewood VOR. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to try to set up an OBS. Like I'm going to try to treat it just like a VOR. Where instead of going direct to, I'm actually going to go on this 134 radial, actually the reciprocal app, 314. And that should take us to Rosewood, and at which point I'm going to try to change to another radial. And that radial is going to be 252 degrees, and that's going to take us to Wegloo, Whiskey Echo Golf Lima Uniform, which is right there. And if I still have time, I might go ahead and do the hold. And then we're just going to do this approach into Darke County, Versailles. So if you're wondering where these charts come from, airnav.com, just go to KVES or whatever airport you're interested in. Down low, scroll down. Somewhere on the left you'll see instrument approaches, charts, procedure plates, whatever they call them. Each one is a PDF that you can download and print. Now this one is a little bit different. This comes from, ironically, VFR, VFRmap.com, which is a bunch of sectional charts, but you can also select IFR maps. So there you go. Kind of misnamed in my opinion. That's the plan for today. Right now we're heating up the oil. It's got a ways to go. It's at 93. It's not going to be too much longer. I've got a flight plan to type in. I got to type in, basically, I'm going to type in all these waypoints, just like we always did. Now Rosewood, on this OBS mode, I have the instructions for the OBS mode right here. They're extensive. One of the things I would not have thought intuitively is when I do that, when I'm coming towards this on a radial, as if it's a VOR, the flight plan will not auto-sequence to the next waypoint. So once I got here, it will just keep on going, which is the way a VOR actually works. So what we'll do is just a couple miles before I get to that, I'll set that new radial and let it make that turn and intercept it. And at that point, I'll have to get back into the flight plan and do a direct to Wegloo. And it's really just a matter of remembering to do that. I've never tried this before. It might not work. If it doesn't work, I can either just completely skip Rosewood and go straight to Wegloo, or just fly it the way I always fly it, which is just go in a straight line. So I'm going to be taxiing out here. I'm going to go ahead and type in the flight plan, and then we'll get underway. Okay, the flight plan is in. Let's see. Let's take a look at it on the big screen. Turn that one off, and way out. So this is typical of, I don't know how clearly you can see this, but typical of instrument flight. It's not a straight line. It's point to point. Now, if I was in an airplane truly with a GPS certified an IFR certified GPS, I could just do it direct to KVES. I wouldn't have to fiddle around with all this stuff. But it's just good practice, and I enjoy doing it. So we're going to come here. It's not going to add much at all. It's going to add whatever the hypotenuse is there, and A squared plus B, blah, blah, blah. So we are just about ready to go. The oil is warmed up.
On ground, experimental 284, Delta Golf. Ready to taxi, departing VFR westbound.
Experimental 284 Delta Golf, Bolton ground runway 22, taxi via Bravo to Alpha, wind 2103, altimeter 3002.
Bravo to Alpha runway 224 Delta Golf.
What happened to my intercom? There we go. 3002. I guess I have to squelch up. 3002 on the altimeter. There we go. It's 960 feet on a 907-foot airport. Well, we talked about that last time. So it's a short taxi. It's not all the way down to 4, which makes sense. Wind's out of the west, 2-2. That'll work for me. Oh, that was Jan. I didn't know he had that. I thought he had a bigger camper than that. Oh well. My buddy's up from Florida. Too bad I can't stop and talk to him. We're on a schedule. He'll understand. Okay, run up complete, ready to go. Not anybody else out here, shouldn't have too much of a wait. Okay.
Bolton Tower, experimental 284, Delta Golf, ready for takeoff, runway 22, departing VFR westbound.
Experimental 284 Delta Golf, Bolton Tower, roger, runway 22, cleared for takeoff, proceed on course.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 22, proceed on course for Delta Golf.
Okay, here we go. Well, their yard is as bad as mine. They mowed it 2 days ago and it's ready again. I wish I could sell grass. I mean the lawn variety. Have to move to Colorado for the other kind. Market's probably saturated anyway. Okay, here we go. This shouldn't take long, takeoff wise. There's that nose up almost instantly. That's amazing. And off we go. Nothing to it. Beautiful day again. This is the best time of year to fly, when the weather's good. Nice clear air. You won't get this in the summer very often. There's 500 feet. We'll go ahead and make our turn. Get the autopilot ready to go. We're going to cruise at 3,000 feet. And we're going to be on nav. Altitude. Well, I got to go back to 3,000 feet again. What's up here? Okay. Autopilot.
Pilot.
Up. And let's pull throttle back a little bit. Alright, so now it's going off a little bit to get recentered on the course line. We'll get a beam where the hangar was when I first plugged it in, and then it'll, no, that just says roll. There it goes. There it goes. Now it's GPS. Alright, so everything's looking good on the autopilot. Periodically we're in the clouds now. We don't have this beautiful, beautiful day, which is the downside of actual instrument flight, although there are instrument flying days where you would never see the sky or the sun if you didn't get up on top of the clouds, so it's kind of nice for that, once you get through the clouds. Okay, this was almost the flight that wasn't, because speaking of the lawn and beautiful weather, we had great weather yesterday. I had 2 options for flying, both of which fell through, which meant house chores, which need done, yard chores in particular. We needed the mulch. Back when I was working, we paid to have that done, and it's pretty expensive. It's actually still fairly expensive if you do it yourself. I think we bought 34 to 36 2 cubic foot bags of wet, heavy mulch and spread that around all day yesterday. So I woke up this morning feeling pretty crappy from all that. It was a lot of lifting and a lot of raking and awful things like that. And I texted my dad and said, canceling the flight. I'm going to drive out. I just don't feel up to fueling up the plane and pushing it around and all that. But I had forgotten the restorative palliative properties of caffeine and acetaminophen. Once I had my coffee and my Tylenol, I was feeling much, much better, and here we are. So our next stop is Plum, and that is a good 10 minutes away. So I'm going to shut down the camera because these videos, as it turns out, get too long very quickly. Enjoy the ride. Goodbye. I kind of changed my mind at cruising at 3,000. I'm going up to 3,500, and we'll just consider that a practice step climb. A lot of times your instrument clearance will be take off, maintain 3,000, and then we'll let you know when you can go up to your flight plan altitude. So that's what I did, is leveled off at $3 grand. Normally they clear you well before that, so you don't have to do that level off, but I went ahead and leveled off, and now we're climbing to 3,500. So it makes it slightly more accurate, except I would probably be going to 4,000, not 3,500 if I was IFR. They use the even number altitudes. So there's Lily Chapel. Plum is just past Ugly Young Farmers, so this is basically the same flight I made a few days ago when I went out and bought gas. But once we get there, it's going to turn a little bit more to the northwest. Hopefully, it should. I tried to cheat, well not cheat, I tried to get ahead of the game by going into the flight plan menu, and right now Rosewood is set as just a normal waypoint. To make it work like a VOR, you have to go here and then go into the flight plan menu and set OBS mode to Rosewood, and I tried doing that ahead of time, but it immediately makes that turn. I think what I could probably do is go with track mode to Plum, go ahead and set up the OBS mode, but not turn it on. Well, I could probably turn it on because at that point I'm in track mode, so I'm going to try that. So what we do is we hold down the track button to make sure it's aligned with what we're currently doing, and we put it in track mode. There's track heading 283, which is actually looks like a little bit off of what I want. I'm going to put it right there so it just follows the ground track. Now I think I can go down here. Let's see what happens. There, and it left me alone. Good. So I want my inbound radial to be 314 degrees, and looks like it's very close to that already because we're fairly far away from Plum, I guess, but I'm going to see if I can figure out how to set it. It's something to do with the course knob, which might be this, or I don't know yet. No, that didn't do it. No, that didn't do it. Not really sure how to do it. Oh, maybe this. There it is, course, right there, okay. So now we can go ahead and set that to 314. It's right, well, it's right. It doesn't give me a number. Oh, there it is, course, 314. Okay, the number is down here. As I'm turning this, and this is working just like it would if it was a VOR. See how the course comes in and then goes out as I go past it? This is acting as kind of a homing beacon. But we want 314, so I'm going to just dial that in. We're on it right now, actually, so that's interesting because from Plum intersection, it should have been 314, and it looks like that's going to be off course. So let's go ahead and just go to that. So I want to go to nav. Now that's going to take us to Rosewood, and we'll just skip Plum, which we were actually pretty close to already because I can see Madison County. It's only a couple miles away. So we were pretty close to that anyway. So now it's going to overshoot because I went a little bit past the actual 314. It's going to go back 1 degree. It'll get centered up all by itself. And we don't need to do a thing except watch to make sure we don't get to Rosewood and I forget to change the course to 252 out. So we're on course for Rosewood. It's going to be 19 minutes until we get there. Okay, I did a little prep work. I know where the timer shows now. Thank you for Glenn. The timer will show up here. It's actually timing right now for some goofy reason, but I have it set. I go to Tools, and I go to Checklist. No, that's not right. I go to Timer. Let's zero that out. Okay, I want it to go up 1 minute because what I'm going to want to do, when we get here, I'm going to want to enter the hole. And I'm going to want a 1 minute outbound leg, but first I'm going to do a standard rate turn to 093 degrees. Now the Dynon, not being an instrument-centric EFIS, really does not know how to do a standard rate turn, but if you do the math, at 100 knots, a 15-point-something degree angle will give you very close to a standard rate turn. So I got into my autopilot settings, I got into roll axis, and I've set my maximum bank angle at 15 degrees. It was 20, and that should approximate a standard rate turn fairly well. Because this is all going to be on track mode, I won't have to worry about correcting for the wind. Track will do that for me. So it may or may not be actually a standard rate turn because track mode isn't going to count when I'm doing that turn. It may drift away a little bit, hard to say. But that's the plan. So we'll reach this. I'll go right away into that 093. We'll get that standard rate turn. I'll set the timer for 1 minute. Then we'll go back to 273, and then we'll just fly on in. If I feel like it, which I probably will.
1, 2, 1, 1, Zulu, weather, wind, calm.
Oh,
okay. 1, 0, clear, below, 1, 2, 1000, temperature, 1, 0, Celsius, dew point, 90, altimeter, 3, 0, 0, 1.
Okay, wind calm. That's nice. Got a new altimeter setting. Temperature temperature is within 1 point and 2 point, but I don't think we're going to see any fog. They say, I think, within 3 degrees there's risk of fog. And actually, I looked at the forecast down south around Cincinnati, and they do have fog this morning. So we just got lucky. This actually makes sense. I said before that it's not going to make a turn. It's not going to do anything to progress through the flight plan. And it's actually drawing that. We had that zigzaggy line that went all the way to Versailles. Now it's going all the way to whatever is thousands of miles northwest of here, Seattle or whatever, Alaska. So that's a nice reminder that you have to do something when you get there or it's just going to keep on going. Makes a lot of sense. Well, the other thing I wanted to do is, I'm going to use control wheel steering again. We're in a very different mode now. I'm not in a wing level roll mode or whatever bank angle plug-in mode. I'm in nav mode. But let's say I see something over there or I just want to make a little diversion but without turning off all this stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and get into CWS mode.
We'll be looking for you.
There it is. So I'm looking down. Oh, look at that. That's a pretty little town. There's a nice little lake. Now I let go. Now we're going to go right back to our nav course, which is kind of handy. And there it goes, coming back. I went years without knowing about that. It's probably going to come in handy at some point. All right, so we've got 5 miles to Rosewood. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the camera on because we're going to be making this turn pretty soon. Going to need about a mile or two. Well, a mile I'm going to lose just a slant range. I assume it does that the same way as it does a real VOR. Maybe not, I don't know, because it is GPS based. I don't know, it's kind of a mystery. But we can go ahead and make this turn anytime we want. And it's going to be a rather abrupt entry. The autopilot, I've got the gain set fairly high. So as soon as I make a change, it's going to respond, but it should only go to about 15 degrees now. Or whatever it needs to do the intercept. So let's get it about 2 miles away and then we'll go ahead and do it. I can actually see the VOR, which is rare for me. I usually can't pick them up off the ground, but very clear day. Let's go ahead and do it. So our outbound is 252 degrees. Our course is our setting. 252 should show up right there. Now that's interesting. It's turning us to the right. Now it's turning us back to the left. I wonder why the initial response was to turn to the right. It seems odd. But now it seems like we're going to go ahead and intercept this. Let's see if it overshoots or if it does a real nice kind of meshing in here instead of overshooting and coming back. Because I did limit it to 15 degrees, but we're actually doing 0 degrees right now of bank. So what it's doing is it's getting closer. It's kind of, right now it seems to be heading straight towards Rosewood. It's hard to tell precisely where it's headed. A little bit off. And as we get closer, it'll finish up that turn.
I'm almost over the center of the airport at this time. Good morning.
So 1.9 miles.
Head downwind, past gate.
Less than a minute. Should finish up this turn.
Union County traffic, Skyline 8 on short final for runway 27. Union County.
There we go.
Bravo 56, Papa Charlie overflying Shelbyville for a left downwind entry.
Again, we're still on OBS mode, so while this looks like it's going to go directly to where we want to go, it will. It'll go directly to this, but it'll keep on going. If I were to put in all the waypoints in order, it would just go ahead and fly us on in, but it wouldn't do the hold. It would just fly straight on in. So we're going to go ahead and let it get established on course, and then I'm going to try going back to the flight plan menu and doing a direct to Wegloo, and it should just go out of the OBS thing and go straight to Wegloo, and then we'll just do the hold or go straight on in. Probably go ahead and do the hold because we're a little bit ahead of schedule. So let's get on course. Now it's showing a firm indication. We're away from the VOR. We're heading outbound now. On course, well, it'll be 252 eventually once it gets straightened up here. We're not quite on the course yet. Once it does, this is an outbound. As opposed to the arrow would have been up here before because it was an inbound. There's Bloomer right there. There's Wegloo right there. Bloomer seems in an odd spot compared to Wegloo. It should be inside of it. That's weird. See when we get there.
Goes Larry.
All right, so we're more or less on the course. So now I'm going to go to map flight plan. Go down to Wegloo. That is interesting. Wegloo is 12.8 miles away. Oh, Bloomer is 5 more after that. Okay, so we're going to go direct to Wegloo. After which we should go to Bloomer, but it should do that by itself. So we're going to have that. Well, we're doing a lot of manual work at that point anyway. Once we get to Wegloo, we're going to do a little track hold again. So we got about 5 minutes for that. We're just a few minutes from Wegloo, so I've gone ahead. I'm just going to take it down to 3,000. 3,000. Actually, I can take it down to 2,700, and that's going to be the basis of our approach from Wegloo to Bloomer. So I'm going to take it down to 2,700. So we're all set for that. We're allowed to take it. That's how low we're allowed to take it. We could be as high as 6,000, but I don't see the point of that. All right, we'll do that a little faster. Yeah, get some power off. There we go.
Good.
Bernier was taking too long. Come on, Bern, we're in a hurry here. Go ahead and dial in our outbound heading after the hold of 093, and then we'll just hit track once we'll hit heading. Well, shoot, I guess I want track. Well, that's going to be tricky. Think about this, because let's see what happens if I can track. Well, I can go ahead and turn it anyway, because nothing's going to happen until we get there. So 093 is what we're looking for on heading.
Dayton Wright Brothers, Skyhawk 53885, left crosswind 20, Dayton Wright Brothers.
Union County traffic, Scarlet 8's making left traffic, final runway 27, Union County.
Looks like, let's see, that's greater than, what it's going to want to do is turn left. If you see where that track line is, it's, well, let me see.
Dayton Wright Brothers.
Yeah, it's going to want to turn left to that because that's closest. So what I really need to do, either hand fly it or work my way up to it. So what we'll do is something that we know is going to be an outbound. I mean, it's going to make a right turn because it's going to take the shortest way around. And then engage track. Go ahead and engage track, and then once it gets to where it's less than 180 degrees to get to 093, if it is, and I think it will be. So we'll just have to work our way up to it. And I can easily, yeah, I can just set that as track. I don't need that to be, I'll just fly it as track. Might as well turn that on. Oop, no, I didn't want to do that. I still want nav. Didn't mean to turn it on, that was dumb. But we'll be able to use track for that once we get there. Which is, it's coming right up, it's 2 minutes. And I've got my timer, let's get my timer ready. So tools, checklist. God damn it, why do I do that? Timer. There's my 1 minute timer. We can get rid of that checklist, I hope. Go back to checklist, take that off, go to timer. There we go. Now we got our 1 minute set to go. 100, I want 100 knots. As close to 100 knots as I can get that 15-degree math to work.
Chevrolet traffic, 9849 Lima. Left downwind, 19, Chevrolet.
That should work. That should just go to the right. Oh, that's because I already changed it. It's going to be 093, which would actually go to the left. Yeah, okay.
53885 is left base for 20, Dayton Wright Brothers.
Trying to manage that airspeed. We are 1 minute from Wegloo.
Union County traffic, Scarlet 8, we're going to be departing the pattern to southeast, Union County.
I'm I'm going to anticipate this turn by about 15 seconds or so because we got about 30 degrees to get out of the way, and I'd like my outbound turn to start just as we're crossing Wegloo. Now, see, he wants to turn in 24 seconds anyway. As we cross leg, it's going to go straight in. So I could let it do that, or I could just use that as my own timer. Either way, I got to get back over here. No, I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't. Get back on timer. Because I'm going to do track. I'm going to go to track mode. I'll let it make the turn, I guess. Why not? Or whatever. 8 seconds. All right, so let's go to track mode. That should turn. That starts our turn. And once I get past here, it'll continue to make a right turn.
Skyhawk 96879 departing to the east. Dayton Wright Brothers.
There, we can do it all the way up now. There we go. There's outbound 092. Oh, 93, sorry. 1 degree off. Where's 93? Don't need to heat anymore. It's warming up nicely. Now, once we get a 180-degree turn done here is when I'll start the timer. 1 minute.
71 traffic 849 Lima, left base 19 shovel.
We're on the Unicom, so I can make a call. How far out are we? We're still 10 miles out. I don't know why there's two bloomers. There's a bloomer and a bloomer.
Dayton Wright Brothers Airport, Scarlet 7, about 7 miles to the northwest, touch and go on runway 20.
All right, here we are. We're at 80, 81, 82, 10 degrees to go. And we're going to start running the timer at, yeah, there we are, just about a beam at 9, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to run the timer. There it goes. And then we're going to turn back to 273 degrees. Now we're not entirely done with the heater after all. 100 knots, 101, very close. I wonder if the timer, it seems like it'd be nice if it would make a beeper through the heads, you know, some kind of beep 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 through the headsets, but I don't think it does. Okay, our timer is down to 9, 8. All right, so we should be ready.
Timer expired.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Dynon, I apologize for doubting you.
Brothers, Scarlet 7.
They're brilliant.
Long days for
I love this thing.
runway 20.
All right, there's our 273 inbound. Once it makes that turn, I'm going to go back direct Wegloo, and it'll start doing its normal progressions, in theory. Now this is where the wind is going to get me, I think, because we have a tailwind now. So we're going to way overshoot Wegloo. We're about beam of it now. We're not even 90 degrees through the turn. So that's kind of a tricky thing, and that's something you account for in your. You account for that when you would normally be flying this. You would maybe extend that. I don't know what you'd do. Some way you would make that work. Well, it's working out fairly well after all. It's variable light. It's not a whole lot of wind. I'll have to figure out. I like the idea of flying it on track, but it seems like it can really draw me off.
Long final for runway 20. Dayton Wright.
All right, so we're done with the timer. We're going to turn that off. We're going to go back to the back. And now we're going to go to map, and we're going to go to flight plan. And it's already set to the Wegloo bloomer, so I don't need to do a thing. No, it's set to bloomer. So let's go back to a direct to on Wegloo and let it sequence from there. Now, after Wegloo, we're 2,700 feet. We stay there for 5 more miles to bloomer, and then we're going to pull the power off because we're just going to land, but we are LNAV. We would be able to go down to 1,380 feet, which is 400 feet above the ground, and we would only need 1 mile visibility. We're just going to make an approach. Now there must be some wind. It's holding a little bit of a correction here. We're angled off just a bit. so it's doing something to compensate for some wind.
7 mile final 20, touch and go.
Now let's see what happens when we're going to shift over to Bloomer here in just a second. Let's see if it straightens this out or if it's actually correcting for the wind. It looks pointed the wrong way to be correcting for the wind, to be honest. So 0.5 here, we're going to make a turn in 18 seconds towards Bloomer. It's all working out. I think I might be getting this figured out. Alright, we should be going to Bloomer. There we go. Still no correction. That's interesting. What am I on? I'm on track, that's why. Let's go to nav. That's my bad. I have not got this figured out. That's why it was off.
Scarlet 7, short final for runway 20, Dayton traffic.
Well, there's a lot of little details to this. That one would have just taken us on down to who knows where. That should have been a giveaway. We're practicing. We're learning. This George Jetson world, all this button pushing, it can be tricky. We don't need to come down at 100 knots. We can slow her down a little bit now. A lot of people like to use 90 knots down in approach because on an ILS it makes it easy to time. They give you 60 or 90. 60 is too slow. In my opinion, 90 is too fast because then you got to get all slowed down to land. But you got some time. Depending on how close you are to the runway when you pop out of the clouds, you might just go ahead and land no flaps and hope you have a long runway. Alright, yeah, but let's use 90 because that's common. I got the airport in sight. We are, 2 minutes from Bloomer. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let the autopilot bring us down. I'm going to take us down to 1400. If we can get it done in time, fine. If not, I'll have to fly it by hand.
To the southeast.
Got to lose about 1,600 feet in about 3.5 miles. Well, a little more than that because at VFX you want to be at 1540. So really what I should do is take us down to 1,600, not 14. Because I don't want to go to 15 because then I can't do 1540, so I'll go to 16. And I think I'll stay there because that's perfect for a straight in anyway.
Stark County Versailles traffic, experimental 284 Delta Golf is 7 miles east, long final runway 27, Stark County Versailles.
I could say on the VOR approach, but nobody would know what I was talking about if they weren't instrument aware. That was always one of my pet peeves before I got my instrument rating. Well, I'm such and such inbound. That doesn't mean a thing to me. I'm a VFR pilot. Okay, 85 is good. We're going to hold 85 because I'll be able to get the flaps down by just dropping 3 knots. Let's see, 1.2 to Bloomer, and that's when we'll hit the down button. We're going down to, that's not what I want 1700. Oh, it was there. It was already there. Clicky clack, 27 is my current. Duh. I wanted 16, didn't I?
Approaching waypoint.
16, there we go. All right, we're approaching a waypoint, 30 seconds, and we'll head down to 1600. And 80 knots, I might be a bit fast for that. I might have to go a little slower just to get... Now that's where that little turquoise arc is going to tell me, will I be down by VFX or not? And I can just manage the throttle all the way down to make sure that happens. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, down. And it's going to do that at 500 foot per minute. So what I have to do is adjust throttle to make sure that works out for VFX. Here comes the arc. I want it somewhere short of VFX. We're picking up some airspeed. Oh, this is my 3,000 RPM rough spot. It's a little resonating right here. See a little vibration right there? All right, now there it is right at VFX. That's not a good place. It's not a bad place to be. That's just what we want. I'm at 80 knots. I'm just going to, I would put down I want to put down the flaps. When I put down the flaps, we're going to get that instant bank to the left. So I'm going to do it very slowly and see if maybe that keeps it from doing it. I might have been just dumping the flaps too fast for the autopilot to respond. There we go. There's the first notch.
Good morning, Mansfield approach to Mansfield.
And I think I'll do the second notch after Pippix.
Our service, please. Stark County Versailles traffic 4 Delta Golf, 4 mile final, runway 27, Stark County.
Oh, this is working perfectly. Just shy of Pippix, 81 knots, that's working out well. That way I can just dump more flaps when I need to. I may not, I could not, my choice. There's no reason to dump them all the way out here. Okay, we're getting a little inside of Pippix now. I don't really want to get down there before Pippix, or too much before Pippix anyway. I'm allowed to, I just don't need to. Well, all we're doing now is picking up airspeed, so I can't really do that. Don't want to do that. Kind of committed now that the flaps are down. Okay, here comes Pippix in 1/10 of a mile. Now we should level at 16. That's when I need to be ready on the throttle. There it is, leveling at 16. After Pippix, I'm good to go down to 14, but we're just going to go ahead and land it.
Approaching waypoint.
Oh. Traffic passing right by us, 1,000 feet above. There he is. Okay, that's it for the autopilot. Get that last notch down. That's the way I'm used to landing. We have 2 reds on the VASI, which is interesting. As we get closer, that'll change. Not the VASI, whatever the 2 light bar is, the half VASI. HAPSI. The half-ass VASI. HAPSI. There we go. Invented a new term. There's the lights. White and red, that's what we want. So we're full flaps. Carb heat off, we don't need, carb heat off. Cabin heat off, we don't need that. We need to get slowed down to our final speed. We're doing 77 knots, which is a bit fast. We're going to start managing the speed down to landing speed.
Stark County Versailles traffic 4 Delta Golf, 1.5 mile final, 27, full stop, Stark County Versailles.
Still a little fast. Lots of cars here today. Wow. There's usually nothing out here. Tylenol is still working great, in case you're interested. Caffeine is too. Well, they tore down the house that used to be there. Now it's just a big open parking lot for nobody to park in because nobody comes here. That's weird. Wonder why they did that. Oh good, my ride is here. Alright, now this is a little fast to make the first turn off. We can try it, but I don't think I can do it. Oh yes I can. Yes we can. There we go, look at that. Oh, I'm good at this. Alright, well that's it for this leg. I don't know if I'll record the trip back because it's going to be mundane and boring, but who knows. It'll be a part 2. Thanks for riding along.